for our midweek live show. It's a little bit later than midweek though, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, Thursday.
And in this video, we're going to be talking about pretend off-roaders, and that's a little harsh, isn't it, Nathan?
Soft rotors is an easier way of putting it, but yeah, I mean, they look like they can do real off-roading, but in most cases they cannot.
And it's become a real thing because now there are what's your list? How many you got on your list?
Oh, well over a dozen on my list, and we will go over that, but I wanted to say something very important, Roman. If you put a roof rack on a car, you're suddenly and immediately off-road capable. That's right. That's what most people do. Or a rooftop tent. And by the way, there's one over here just in this corner, and I wanted to show you guys something. You put one of these on your car.
It's bigger than your car.
It's bigger than most cars. Your performance is going to suffer. So on and off road. So just keep that in mind.
Well, I have to disagree with you. I think you also need black wheels with a little bit of sparkle.
Yeah, a lot of them are, but not all of them. Actually, some of the people who do some special upgrades to make them look off-roady don't do that. But you know what a lot of them are doing? Off-road tires or off-road capable mud terrains. That's happening.
You're getting way ahead of yourself.
I know, I'm just telling you that a lot of people do that.
So in studio, we've got the brand new Mazda CX-50 Meridian Edition, which is Mazda's version of an off-roader. And we're going to be talking about the various soft-roader or pretend off-roader vehicles, because let's face it, some of it is a little bit
It's a lot of it's garnish. A lot of it's garnish, and unfortunately, that means that some people might think that their vehicle is more capable than perhaps it is, which we've proven before. But I want to quickly maybe talk about this car, because I really like the way it looks.
Yeah, I love the color. Can you look at the Monroney and tell me the name of that color?
Yes, I can. It's a sand color. It's not baby puke, for those of you who are going to be mean.
It's a pretty cool color.
What is baby puke?
It's
baby puke metallic. So it's called sand metallic. No, sorry, Zycon.
That's right.
Zircon sand metallic.
I knew that, and that's
why. What the hell's zircon?
I made you pronounce it because I knew that.
Zircon.
Sounds
like a villain.
I did a TikTok on this yesterday, and I was like, I'll have Nathan pronounce that.
Zircon.
Because it'll be.
So here's the thing. With the Meridian Edition, you're getting a lot of extra little components on top of it. This is already a high-end CX-50 because these vehicles start at about $30,000, and they come standard with all-wheel drive. But then from there, you go up about $8,000 to get the turbo, and this has the turbo, which means it's no slouch.
And it also has 2 black stickers.
3 black stickers, my friend.
All right, 3 black.
3 for all that money. And
look, this black sticker is only partially black. It's matte and then it's shiny.
Well, that's part of the deal, and this is matte and shiny too, if you really think about it. Now, why do people put black stickers on hoods, or why do people black out hoods?
Jeep did that a long time ago.
Jeep, well, also Land Rover.
Yeah.
Land Rover was doing it.
Well,
it has to do with reflection.
That's because when you're a serious off-roader and you're out there climbing the dunes of the Sahara or
the dunes of Everest. Wait a minute.
Bounding your way across Africa, a lot of sun can reflect from the hood into your eyes, causing you not to see the gazelle that is quickly coming across your path.
Or the gunman coming towards you.
But this black, will prevent that from happening, so no gazelles will be hurt.
Yeah, so we don't want to go to court on this. So it might mitigate it. It might help.
But the fact is, it looks cool.
Yes, it does. It does look cool, and the whole thing is aesthetics. Now, what they did in addition to that is they added a roof rack with this, which is
But Nathan, it's not a roof rack. You want to look up?
Yeah, there's a specific name for it, isn't there?
They call it a roof platform.
This is a roof. You know why? Because it is a platform. You could stand on here if you could take the weight, which I believe it's 200 pounds is usually your maximum weight on these things. And I don't think I want to push that because A, I'm over that, and B, once you put a rooftop tent on top of this and put a human being in here, you're probably over that amount anyway. Something to keep in mind.
So if you look at the Monroney, you'll note that this particular model has the Apex package, which gives you 2 things for $1,300, and that is the roof platform and the little mud flaps. $1,300 for that, which, you know.
Front and rear splash guards for $1,236.
And then the Meridian Edition on top of that gives you these kind of bash plates.
Yep.
It gives you.
And that's the tire and wheel package.
It gives you the black 18-inch tires with the new, well, they're not that new, but they're Falcon Wild Peak all-terrains. And I think this is probably the most off-roady thing about this car, and that is the beefy tires, which actually are serious off-road tires, or at least all terrains.
They're good mud terrains, and we've actually tested similar tires, and they've done very well. Now, here's a couple extra things that this has, okay? No, as far as I can tell in the Meridian, as far as I know, there is no suspension lift, nor are there additional skid plates or other things, which, by the way, other automakers do.
Let me look.
Yeah, go ahead. While he's doing that, but what you do get is one of the better all-wheel drive systems that are out there. It's actually kind of a shame that they didn't. Yeah, that's
you get
fake.
This kind of plastic.
Everybody does that, Roman.
And then under here is more. I think that's rubber. So there's no, as far as, and then there's felt.
Yeah.
So no underbody protection.
Which is an issue because this is one of the things that happens to a lot of people is that they'll go light off-roading, which this thing can handle, because it has a very good all-wheel drive system. We'll talk about in a second, and then they will gouge the bottom of it, let's say on a rock or something like that, and there's nothing protecting certain components that, well, frankly, are, yeah. So you got to be very careful when you're taking one of these off-road. Now, it has an all-wheel drive system. It's known as predictive all-wheel drive. It's actually pretty cool. So if it's winter time, it's already going to kick in all-wheel drive. It's not going to bother just sitting in front-wheel drive because it's going to measure temperature, how you're driving, even whether or not you're using your windshield wipers. I kid you not. It also has G-vectoring, which really does help move the power around. And they have an off-road or off-terrain setting so you can make this thing a little bit more off-roady. In addition, you can tow up to 3,500 pounds, which is actually really good for this class.
So what I love about this package is the interior.
Is spectacular.
The coffee-colored seats with the stitching. You know, I mean, Mazda does some of the best interiors.
They really do. Not only in their class, but just throughout the automotive industry, it's really hard to top Mazda when they really go all out on their interiors. The CX-90, the interior on that thing is incredible.
Yeah, so I think what you're getting here, except for the tires, is an appearance package. And I have no problem with that, Nathan, because I love the interior, I love the exterior color, I love actually the black sticker. I don't mind the roof platform.
I would ditch that personally. If you get rid of that, you get better mileage, you get better handling. Sorry, but that's the truth.
So let's see if I fit.
Okay,
right,
well, so while you're going in there, you want me to give you a list of some other competitors? Because there's a lot.
Yeah, but wait, hold off for a second on that. Let's finish with this car before we go into kind of the other soft roaders. So the one thing the Mazda unfortunately is lacking is infotainment. They've always been, I would say, maybe one generation behind, and that unfortunately hasn't changed. I think they recently went to it. Make that no, they didn't really go to a touch screen. I was hoping they went to a touch screen.
Yeah, you should be able to, I thought.
Well, I'm touching it. Hold on. Menu, and go back. Menu. So let's see if it's a touch screen. Yeah, no.
Just try pushing one thing on that screen.
I'm pushing, I'm swiping.
Like hit the X or something. Huh, I thought they were also touch.
I thought they went to a touch screen, but this one is old school, and that's what I mean. It's at least one generation.
You know what, though? I think the CX-90 has a different...
operating system?
Yeah, I think it's slightly different. This is the older one.
So this is the older one. But having said that, you know, don't love the piano black. But
there's not that much of it.
But I do love the fact that, you know, it's got a massive sunroof.
Here, let me try to sit behind you.
Let me open that. There we go.
And carbon monoxide poisoning is even better from inside the car as opposed to outside the car. All right. Oh,
how's the
I totally fit.
Yeah?
Yeah, actually, pretty good legroom. The roof is a little bit low. Your implants would definitely be striking the top right about here.
I hope you're not talking about my chest implants.
So the rest of this is actually pretty good. And I have vents. By the way, not all people in this class have them. So rear vents, and I have USB. You know, you can kind of tell things are a little bit old when they don't include USB-C. You know what I mean?
I know.
So that's an example of this thing. But panoramic sunroof is a huge plus. But then you have that roof basket, the roof platform up there. So you're not really getting the full effect of the panoramic sunroof.
It's funny, in Europe this would be like a family hauler. Here, but here it's more of like an empty nester.
No, I would haul my family in this.
Would you? Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right.
You know, my wife is bought a Mazda CX-5 recently, and that's basically a similar type of layout, and it's a similar type of space and all that, and we still got kids. I think it's okay.
There's nice things like traction control off over here, which I like.
The traction control system in these things is excellent. I would say one of the better ones in the industry.
And then there's also things like you can program 2 positions for your seats, which is old school, but which is nice.
Why don't you pop the trunk?
And let's see how much room is back here.
Hey, before we get to the list of competitors, you want to see if there's any questions?
Yeah.
Anybody got any questions out there?
Any questions, Cole?
We're not including the Ford, so if you're asking about the old Model A, no. We're not talking about that today.
Someone said it looks like a Subaru to them.
It does look, well, Subaru was one of the early adopters of this type of a design in the segment. And back in the day, when they started doing their,
Look what I found. We interrupt this live show for a quick commercial for new TFL t-shirts.
swag.
Which you can get at tflstuff.com or click on the link below. This one's pretty cool.
Karma's a hitch.
Karma's a Hitch, yeah, that's one of
Loving
the
that
new ones. You know, Tommy's been doing a lot of Model T videos. So we have this one, back in black.
Yeah. Please, AC/DC, don't sue us.
And then, of course, the one that I'm wearing, which is...
Yes, and the other day, I wore one that said, my other truck is a truck.
Yeah, my other truck is a truck, and of course this one is iconic with the eye gauntlet. But there is a lot of room back here, not just for t-shirts.
Yeah,
but for-
actually, I wanted to pull this up because I think some of you might be curious. But bam! There's one thing Mazda does more often than a lot of other automakers. They do still include a donut, which I do appreciate, by the way, in many of their cars. Not all of them, but many of them.
And so,
Oh, here. Ready? You watch this. There. Bye-bye! Oh, it didn't go all the way down. You know why? Because you got to move this front seat up in order for it to go.
let me try this one. I
flat.
bet you this one won't go all the way down either.
No, because your seat's all the way
Oh,
back.
it did! Look at that!
How come that one?
Somebody was sitting, that's a lot of room, you're right. This is a big,
I
Pretty
think
big
it's a little
car.
deceptive because that has a really long hood. I mean, if you look at the profile, unlike a lot of cars today, and this is why I give Mazda credit, they've been doing these long hood designs, even though it's unnecessary. I mean, in reality, I mean, the way the engine's set up, the overall thing, I mean, they could cut this thing probably to
all right,
here.
well,
but
how much does all this goodness cost? What's the overall?
this one, as equipped, is about $44,000. That's a lot of dough. Now, bear in mind that you are paying a lot for the goodies. You're paying $8,000 roughly for the turbo alone. Without the turbo, you'd have, it's like 187 horsepower, four-cylinder, but with the turbo, 227 horsepower, 310 pound-feet of torque. Another thing that they're doing, which is old school, but Mazda has owned it, and I have no problem with this personally, is they're still sticking with the 6-speed automatic transmission. Not all their vehicles have it. They have graduated with some of their larger ones to more gears, but majority of their vehicles have a 6-speed automatic transmission, which has proven both reliable and efficient. How efficient? Well, this, as a turbo, combined 25 mpg. On the highway, this thing gets 29 mpg, which is pretty good.
Pretty tidy little engine compartment. I like the fact that the battery is
Has cup holders so you can work on it now.
very accessible, I was going to say.
Yeah.
Not hidden somewhere in the bowels of the car. That's nice. And of course, the Sky Active turbo.
And Mazda's been staying away from hybrids for most of their vehicles now, with only one, well, technically two exceptions.
People are asking if it has a dipstick, because of course the latest Ram doesn't
What'd
have a
they call
dipstick.
me?
They didn't call you a dipstick.
Okay.
I am looking for a dipstick, and I do not see one. So it might have a monitor in the screen.
Yeah, it might.
Are we missing a dipstick?
Yeah, it's right here.
Oh, there's a dip. Whoa, what a clever place.
Yes.
Look at that. It does have a dipstick. Mm-hmm. And it is not a hybrid. People are asking about
No,
it's a
no.
hybrid.
But, you know, and that's the thing, is that as a hybrid, obviously, it'd be far more efficient. But Mazda's a very small company. They have a very small footprint in the United States, and sometimes they struggle. Their best-selling vehicle is the CX-5. This is slated, many people say, to replace the CX-5, but right now they're being built side by side in Japan.
So I got to go on a factory tour in Mazda when I was in Japan at the factory.
Yeah.
And you're right, they do, you know, have a very small production. It's a very small company.
It's a very tidy, you know,
tidy little company, and they take pride in the fact that they're kind of small but you know, big in stature, and I think that's true. I think
they punch above their weight is the way I would look at it.
And they build cars that are engaging, and certainly not the latest and greatest technology. Having said that, you know, we just did the CX-9, which comes as a plug-in hybrid.
Yes, it does. Ironically, I prefer the regular CX-9 without the hybrid. I think it's just a fine handling vehicle. Here's the thing about Mazda. I've owned 4 Mazdas now. Publisher Zach, has owned, I think, 2 Mazdas.
Yeah, because they're drivers'
3
cars, right?
Yeah,
They're
3.
cars-
He's owned 3.
They're people who
They
love to
are
drive.
driver cars. They're not perfect, but they're well screwed together. They tend to be pretty reliable. I find them a little fragile. Like with the equivalent Toyota, I think they're a little bit more robust. But I think that these are actually really good vehicles. Unfortunately, the biggest issue, lack of dealer network, which once again has to go with their size. So that's something. Also, remember, right now they're teamed up with Toyota, I believe, and they're building a lot of vehicles on similar platforms. So you're going to see a little bit more Mazda, a little bit more Toyota stuff in the future when they get together. But let's talk about some of the competitors, shall we?
Let's talk about that, because the reason we have this in here is not just because we want to show off the Meridian edition, but we want to talk about kind of the soft roaders or pretend off-roaders, however you want to, built by the other companies. So,
And I have a list here.
Why don't you go through
And
the
this
list?
isn't all of them. I'm sure you guys can include a few, but let's talk about.
Let's play a game.
Okay.
All right, you name the company, and I'm going to try to tell you the name of their soft roader.
Okay.
Right,
This ought to be fun.
Like
Did you
this
take
is
your
Meridian
Geritol?
edition, so I'm going to try to
Okay,
see
all right,
if I
just gonna
can
make sure your memory's doing
give
well.
me something easy. Start with something.
Chevrolet.
AT4X.
Oh, that's GMC.
Oh.
And that's AT4. Chevrolet, remember, they have technically two.
Okay.
So they have, with the Trailblazer, they have the Active.
Okay.
Okay, remember that?
No.
Tommy drove one.
I
I
can
think he
remember
liked
that,
it. And then they also have the Z71. So that transitioned to some of their soft roaders. So it's the Trailblazer.
Wait, so they took
Or-
the Z71,
or Traverse.
which was their off-road package for their trucks.
Yes.
And they transitioned it into their cars.
Exactly.
Wait, you didn't start with something easy. Come on. Give me
That one, this is Chevrolet. It's one of the. Okay.
No.
All right, here's a real simple one.
That
Okay,
the new,
come on.
That the new soft roader was,
Crying out.
was
Okay.
active. Come
Ford.
on. Ford. So Ford has the Bronco Sport.
Right, start there. That's pretty much all you're going to need.
So it's a sport. I mean,
So the Bronco Sport has a variety of different things. You can start with the Big Ben package, which already gives you some extra stuff.
that's not.
But yes, it is,
No.
because you work your way up to
Oh,
from
no.
the regular
Hold-
soft
hold-
rotors to the better soft rotors.
All right, so I don't want to be argumentative, but
that's-
I'm looking for like the name that implies that it's the soft rotor, not for the different models. I'll give you
Okay,
an
how about
example
this?
of-
Honda.
Honda is Trail Sport.
There you go.
Wahoo, I got one.
So that's both the, so, okay, so that's simple. So that's both for the Pilot and the Passport. And you got a lot for your money on that one, I think, personally. It's one of my favorite ones
We'll
out there.
talk about that. Let's keep with the game, and then we'll talk
Okay.
about what you get.
So Mazda, we already talked about. There's the Meridian.
Yep.
Mitsubishi.
Oh, for fudge's sake.
Yeah.
Crosstrek. What's a Mitsubishi? That's a Subaru. Subaru's Wilderness, by the way.
Yes,
so-
Subaru's well. Just think old school. Think back in the days.
Evo?
Close. When they would go around corners and spin, and the tires would go, and then you would see the stripes with the word something art.
Oh yeah, something. Oh God.
Mika Hakkinen,
Oh, don't tell me something
Ken
art.
Solberg,
Something art. Oh, what is it? Tell me.
Rally Art.
Rally art. That's right. All right.
That's really their only thing, and it's BS because it's just stickers, really, and maybe wheels. But it's a shame because it used to be like, ugh. Okay, here's a simple one.
Okay.
Because there's only one.
Okay.
Nissan.
Nissan is Brookside. It's something like that. It's Rock River, Rock Bottom, Rock.
Rowing through.
Rock River.
Close. I'm up.
Rock Creek.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nathan. Appreciate it. I was close with
Rock Creek. So it's the Pathfinder. Well, another one we've driven off road, and I'm quite good actually. How about Volkswagen? Really, it's just one, and it's kind of BS.
Volkswagen doesn't even have an off-roader.
They kind of. We took it to Moab.
Oh, what is a Volkswagen off-roader?
Base Camp.
Okay.
Remember that?
Oh, yeah,
So
the
the base
Base
camp
Camp.
thing is this package, but you
That's
have
right.
to add to it, and it's really, and it's only for I think the Atlas
Do
and
you remember when they did the Base Camp Amarok? They did like a concept.
yes, and that was cool.
That was so cool, and they never brought it. They
No,
keep doing
because we
these-
can't have nice things.
They keep doing these really cool things, and then they never execute on them.
The rest of the world gets some really cool stuff from Volkswagen. We get bupkis. Okay, so GMC already said the AT4, and that's both the Terrain and the Acadia.
Okay.
It's interesting because actually one is more off-road ready than the other. And how about Hyundai? It's 3 letters, starting with this.
X90,
Close.
X60, X70.
There's a letter next to the X.
Oh God, what is it? Tell me.
This is your first letter in your name.
XRT.
Yeah, it
That's
is.
right, XRT.
Okay. Wow. Who knew we were playing
you
charades
for all you
today?
Chicagoland people, that's a radio station that I used to
Okay.
love. WXRT.
And finally, let's just do the Kia. So that also has an X in it.
Oh fudge. X90, X70, XR. I don't know what the hell's
X Pro.
X Pro. That's right.
Yeah. And
Right.
once again, Really just more some stickers, tires, and wheels maybe.
All right, so
Oh, and Toyota, of course.
that's like Adventure or TRD
Yeah.
or, right, anyway.
Yeah.
So the problem is either and you might be completely agree with this, I might be getting old and senile, or the problem with these brands is that they're so weak as off-roaders that we have a hard time remembering them because they're basically appearance packages, right?
Yes, their appearance packages.
Like, let me give you an example of the strong one. Rubicon, right? The second you say Rubicon, you know exactly what that means.
Ford.
In a Jeep.
Yes.
Right? You know what that means
Yes,
in
I
a
do.
Jeep. So you know that that's the most off-road worthy, the one with all the lockers, the lift, blah, blah, blah.
Yes.
The red shocks.
But I see why their PR people and their product people are saying, okay, we need an off-roady version of these vehicles because they sell more. And that's the bottom line. Look at Jeep. If you look at their Compass Trailhawk,
Right.
their Compass Trailhawk is what brings people in, but they'll walk out with the Compass, whatever base model it is or whatever, and that's their thing. Same with, almost all their vehicles. You come in because you desire to have the most off-road capable vehicle, even if you don't off-road, but you walk out with something else. It's a halo vehicle.
You know what you're, I think, alluding to, and I think this is the problem that many of the soft-roaders have, and that is Jeep has this thing, little badge they put on the side called trail rated.
Yes.
And that actually means something, right? So it means that the vehicle has this much approach angle.
It's able to go to the Rubicon Trail and actually handle it.
It can go like in water this deep. I don't know exactly, but there are numbers and statistics that the vehicle has to meet to be able to do that. And that to me says that the engineers are serious about going off-road,
Yes.
right? When you put a black sticker and the words Meridian Edition on it, that to me doesn't mean serious off-road. That means to me that you like going off-road, but you don't like going off-road.
Yeah,
You see what I'm saying? You like the idea of going off-road, but you don't like actually going off-road.
it gets a little worse than that, frankly. And here's another issue. Once again, I already admitted I'm a Mazda fan. However, I went onto their website to look up this car, and they're showing it off-road towing a trailer in really rough terrain. It's what it looked like, at least. That's what they alluded to. Now look, as I said before, I think the all-wheel drive system in this is outstanding. However, this is not a choice to go off-road, not unless you're willing to armor it and then suddenly it's not a vehicle that you bought. The whole purpose of all these things is that when you buy a vehicle, you expect it out of the box to perform the way they're advertising, which is something we've gotten in trouble with before. Because some companies will call a vehicle, oh, I don't know, Outlander or whatever, or Overland Trailer, you name it. And when we go to the Outland type things, when we're going overlanding, and they don't perform well, we get yelled at because we're driving the vehicle as they advertised. It can do this, yet it can't do that. That's a real problem.
So the question that you guys might be wondering, and I have, is out of all these off-roady brands, which is the one, or which are the companies that actually have real off-road cred? So with this one, the real off-roady thing about it are the tires, which is great. And
Yeah,
I
that is extra grip off-road. I've driven this car before. It's outstanding. It's a great car,
So I think
off-road.
Subaru is probably one of the better ones.
Yeah, they have actually, well, they've learned their lesson from some people out there because sometimes when their vehicles fail, they actually learn their lesson and make them more off-road capable.
Because when you buy that Wilderness Edition, you get a lift.
Yes,
So
tires.
they're already starting with like 10 inches of, I think it's 9.7 of ground clearance, and then with the Wilderness, they look like they're on stilts. So I think they give you at least another inch, maybe 2 inches more.
I would say at least, yeah, between the lift and the tires. And that's a real off-road suspension for a little car.
Then you get tires.
Yep.
Then you get underbody cladding.
Yep.
And I believe you also get, do you get recovery points, or do you get like little yellow stripes that?
You have little bronze ones in some of them, little bronze
Recovery points?
Yeah, so they've got them on there because it's bronze, and bronze is cooler than red or orange. Also, they changed around the algorithm, I believe, inside the vehicle to make it a little bit more off-road capable. So when you switch into X mode or whatever it is, you can do better.
But-
we haven't driven one of the new ones, except Tommy and I did drive the Crosstrek
Yes.
version,
Yeah.
and that was pretty good.
Well, as you know, Subaru doesn't work with us because we took an Outback off-road once and they didn't like it.
That was more a long story.
Anyway, well, that's basically what happened.
Yeah, but that's what I've been alluding to, by the way, is that we've taken vehicles, we've really taken them to places where they say they can go, and if they don't go there, we say the truth.
I think their one of the more off-roady ones. I feel like they're handicapping those vehicles with the CVTs. I know there's X mode, but I still think a CVT, unless you're in a side-by-side, is not a grand transmission
Even then, it's
when
not
you're
great.
off-roading. And then, of course, the other one I think, and we've taken them off-road, and we're really impressed by how good they do, and that's the Honda Trail Sports.
Yes,
You get underbody
absolutely.
cladding. They put recovery points underneath it. They put this really cool little recovery point on
They
the
can
skid,
even be drowned and come back.
on the skid plate. The thing we found with them doing our testing is that they're really good at off-road, except for the fact that the transmission tends to overheat. We've overheated Honda transmissions, and that is because what ends up happening is the traction control is setting power to all different.
Now that happened when we were driving the, what was it, the little pickup?
What's the pickup? The
Yeah.
Ridgeline.
Yeah, the
we,
Ridgeline.
we overheated the transmission on the
but
Ridgeline.
that has not happened to me, and I off-roaded the crap out of the Trail Sport when I was in Moab, and I took it in places it should not have gone, and I stayed on it all day, and I think they may have improved it since that time. But there's a point here, which is that they're still not full-blown off-roaders. First of all, they don't have the ground clearance. Second of all, they don't have actual lockers. Although with Honda, they have a torque vectoring system mixed in with their all-wheel drive, which works absolutely phenomenal. I would say comparable, if not even slightly better than this, at least in the rough. But then there's other automakers who don't do a damn thing,
And then-
who just throw on stickers.
And then the other problem with like the Koreans is that they tend to use dual clutch transmissions.
Yeah.
And outside of a CVT, a dual clutch is wonderful if you're going around a racetrack, but not so good if you're actually off-road. Now, I did talk to Jill, who's another automotive journalist who does the Rebel Rally, because she was actually off-roading your car, which is
My former car.
your former car. Did you sell the Santa Cruz?
Nope, sold it.
Oh, Santa Cruz is gone. There you go. Breaking news. Nathan has sold his Santa Cruz.
Yep, it's gone.
We'll do a video on that, don't worry. But anyway, she took it to the Rebel Rally, and we took it up, no, it wasn't Goldmine Hill, it was Tombstone Hill, and the transmission, once again, overheated.
Yep.
And then I called her before she did last year, and I said, hey, just FYI, our transmission overheated. So she talked to the engineers, and she said the key to not having an overheat off-road is to manually select it. But I'm kind of like, it shouldn't overheat, period.
Yeah, and you know what? The 8-speed automatic, which has been abused in my car,
Yeah.
never overheated, never
Right.
had a problem at all. Because it's a regular automatic transmission, it doesn't have the dual
Look,
clutch
torque
setup.
converters are wonderful.
Torque
off-road.
converters do the job, and that's a bottom line there. You know what happened? Hyundai actually removed a dual clutch system from one of their vehicles and made it switched it back to an automatic transmission, and they got better performance. And that was their little guy, the whatever their little off-roader is. What is that thing called?
Which company?
Hyundai, I believe. No, it was Kia. Well, same here.
The little
So it was the Kia. Yeah.
They don't have off-roaders. They might
You know,
have
they had the little. It's like a Chevy, tiny little Chevy. It's
the
the same.
Venue.
It's a little bit bigger.
Oh, you're really testing me today.
Yeah,
Nathan.
I'm really testing him today,
All right,
pushing him past his
let us know in the
Geritol
comments
level.
below what Nathan is thinking of, because I don't know what he's thinking of. But
And
anyway, let's keep,
are there any more questions?
let's ask questions and then we'll keep going.
John asked, what did your friend end up buying, Steve?
Celtos. Oh, sorry, he didn't buy the Celtos, but that's
No,
what it was.
He did not buy a Celtos.
But that's what I was talking
He
about.
bought a Venza.
Yes, he bought a Venza, another all-wheel drive
And
vehicle.
speaking of Japanese companies, so for the most part, Mazda doesn't do off-roaders. For some unbelievable reason, Honda doesn't really do off-roaders, right? Even though they have all this off-road motorsport division, right, with motorcycles and side-by-side.
Well, yeah.
But Toyota does.
Yes, Toyota's pretty serious about
So
off-roading.
out of the Japanese, if you really want a serious off-roader with a low range and lockers, then you can get yourself a Land Cruiser, you can get yourself a 4Runner, you can get yourself a Tacoma, you can get yourself a Tundra. There's just a lot there.
Sequoia too, yeah.
A Sequoia.
Yeah, they actually have quite a selection. Nissan, not anymore, although you do have an Armada, which is about to be changed. And then you have, the Frontier.
And the Germans don't actually do off-roaders either, except for Mercedes with the G-Wagon, which is
Yes,
also surprising.
this G-Wagon, which I didn't put in here because you don't want to hear about a $250,000.
And that's a real off-roader. 3 locking diffs.
Yes, it's real. Nobody
range,
will ever
yeah.
take them off-road.
4x4
Except for like
square.
one YouTuber will take them off-road.
But yeah, and that's us. We did it.
I know.
But like Audi has nothing. BMW has nothing.
These are companies that have real rally history, especially Audi. Audi still does rally, and they just came back to it. But the point is that they don't have a dedicated off-roader.
And then, of course, Stellantis has Jeep, which has a lot of off-roaders.
Yeah, Jeep.
But the other Dodge, Chrysler, they barely have cars to sell,
Much less anything.
let alone off-roaders.
I bet you're wondering, what about electric vehicles? Because we didn't talk about them. Yes, of course they have them. However, off-roady trims of the GMC Hummer, yeah, it's pretty much already off-roady, I guess.
So Rivian, of course,
Yeah, but
Cybertruck.
they don't have an off-roady version
Tesla?
of their. They don't. They don't have anything that is designated as an off-roady version of their vehicle. I researched it. Unless you guys know.
Except for the trucks. The Cybertruck has 2 lockers.
No, but the Cybertruck doesn't have Cybertruck Special Edition Off-Roader Special that Elon likes with shotguns.
No, I see what you're saying. So it doesn't have like
That's what we've been talking about.
like a 4X, like a Pro,
exactly.
Pro 4X or TD, right?
Yeah.
But then they don't really do, the only special edition they kind of do is a performance. And so I think the only off-roader,
Well, we have the foundation.
the only off-roader they have is, of course, the Cybertruck. It does have complete lockers. So it does have an off-road mode.
If you opt for it, you can get the lockers, by the way. I don't think that's standard, is it?
It is.
It is now standard?
It's complete standard.
Oh, I thought it wasn't standard.
Air
Okay.
suspension, complete standard. Of course, Range Rover does a ton of off-roaders.
Yeah, but that's different. That's, once again, it's like Jeep.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
like Jeep.
Yeah.
That's where they were born.
Yeah.
So
that's
and then
why
I think Rivian is also very much off-road.
Yeah, sure, but there's no special edition of a Rivian that says I am specifically built
Adventure.
for off-road. They have the Adventure. I have no idea what that is.
It gets you like, well, once upon a time.
Probably
it got-
wasn't allowed near it.
It got
Like
you like the
many
camping
cars.
kitchen, but that never happened. Anyway, any questions before we continue to bicker?
There was a truck question asking if the Frontier would be a good mid-sized truck option.
Hell yeah. Frontier is still my favorite mid-sized truck, even though it's not as powerful as the other ones. It has a good old-fashioned V6.
No, I can't agree with that.
And I like the fact that it is really rugged. And so far, in terms of reliability, they've had 1 recall, not 3, like many of the other ones. And if you're serious about doing some off-roading, and at the same time you want a good deal, it is one of the best deals out there. Although I have a feeling that automaker or the dealerships are starting to realize that.
So the issue with the Frontier is it was the kind of the belle of the ball until all the new mid-sized trucks came out. So right now there's a new Ranger, and I want to say Ranger has at least 3, maybe 4 engine options. Frontier has 1.
Yeah.
Right, and so Ranger you can have turbos, you can have non-turbos, you can have
Base model versus base model.
right. Frontier 1 6-cylinder. Tacoma, of course, #1 selling mid-sized truck.
Once again, base
Out there.
model versus base model.
How do we end up in trucks talking about?
Because he asked a question.
Okay, what else is
Okay.
there?
So my choice is yes, the Nissan is a very good alternative. Don't listen to him.
This is another one. What do you guys think of the WRX?
I don't like the looks. I know that the powertrain is pretty solid. I have not driven the CVT version, but I have driven the manual version. My cousin actually works with Subaru. I know a lot of you didn't know this, and I'm not going to name his names because I don't want him to be blacklisted. But it was good. It was really quick and very smooth. I kind of miss the days when they sounded a little bit different because, the headers have changed with the new engine. But unfortunately, once again, we don't work with them, so I can't really officially say much about
I
it.
don't know, haven't driven it.
It's good. It's just I don't like looking at it very much on the sides. The plastic trim on that thing on the sides just doesn't work. I don't get it.
Anything else, Cole? That's it.
All right.
Well, guys, thank you for joining us for another live show. What car should I buy?
Yes.
So before we wrap this up, Nathan, out of all the soft roaders that we discussed, I'm talking about not trucks, I'm talking about cars.
Yeah. The ones I talked about.
Yeah, so which one would you buy? Let's say you have a budget of about $40,000. Actually, 50. So the average new car price now is like $47,000.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna give you the average new car price, which is like just under 50,000. Let's just call it 50. Which of these kind of soft roaders would you buy?
And a quick question before that: am I driving it as a daily driver, or is it something I'm actually taking off road?
I don't know, however you want to drive it.
Okay.
So however you use it, however you want to drive it.
I
It's up-
really like the Bronco Sport.
I'm with you.
Top trim there. I like that Heritage too quite a bit, but that thing can go over 50. So that is one of my top choices. But in terms of practicality, the Honda Pilot or Passport are absolutely
Yeah,
outstanding.
I'm completely agreed. I was going to pick those two. If you wanted to spend less, go for the Bronco Sport. If you want to spend more, go for the Pilot or the
This is a
Passport.
really good car, but you can get it for a lot less money without all the schmaltz, and I think you'd just still be fine. That's my own personal opinion.
Yeah, and then, for me, if you're going to go and make a soft roader, actually give it some soft road cred.
Throw a plate on there or something.
Yeah, throw a recovery point, You don't have to have like low range, which none of these have, but it would be nice to have actual off-road modes. Having said that, I'm not sure off-road modes are.
I think this does have like a dirt mode in it, but it doesn't have a full-blown.
I was talking to Alex, right?
Yeah.
And he says and I can see this kind of Range Rover does the same thing. So Range Rover invented terrain management, right?
Yep.
Where you have the fact that you can put it into sand mode or slippery mode or snow mode or whatever mode you want. And then eventually, over the years, they got away from it. And you can get a car where you could pick the mode or you can leave it in automatic. And the car was smart enough to realize that, hey, it's slippery out there because my tires are spinning, so I'm going to go into slippery mode. And I think that's kind of how it should be, right? I'm not sure you should actually have to like put it into a certain mode because it's gotten a little bit out of control. There's just so many different modes. And I'll give you an example, and we'll be doing a video on this shortly where we're going to be talking about the engineer from Toyota as to what happened with the Tacoma when it failed, right? Because that really has to do with what mode it was in.
Yeah.
Right, so I was in rock mode when the front differential exploded, but you could make an argument that I should have been in slippery mode, right? So which one are you going to pick? Are you going to pick rock or slippery? I mean, you see what I'm saying?
It's different for different vehicles. The algorithms are completely different in many different vehicles. Some really don't want to go into slowing you down and doing a 50-50 torque split. Some of them do. And you don't want that happening automatically necessarily unless you're stuck in mud.
How do you know what the modes do, and how do you know if you're in the right mode?
Well, if you're smart enough to actually research a vehicle that you buy, you'll know what the modes do.
No, I don't buy that. I don't think people read their owner's manual, nor do I think that they should be technical experts.
All you have to do is watch a video, guys, and you'll know everything.
It should be idiot-proof, right? You should just have the car do what the car needs to do, because like I said, do you want the car in snow mode when you're off-roading because there's snow on the ground, or do you want an off-road mode, or do you want it in rock crawl mode? And I don't know what the algorithm does in those three, so I don't know which is appropriate, and that was part of the problem with our Tacoma. And like I say, we'll publish that video as soon as I interview the engineer in 45 minutes. But Alex is right. He says when he tows, he never puts it in a tow haul mode. He just lets it do what it should do.
Alex is completely wrong. You put it in tow haul mode because some of the vehicles still require you to do tow haul mode. And in addition, come on. In addition, there are some vehicles that do a lot more when you put them in a special mode than other vehicles. It really is vehicle dependent. In some cases, idiot mode is fine, but in other cases, I think that there are vehicles out there that require you, the driver, to put it into a mode because they're specially built for that mode.
I think that it's a marketing exercise, and so it's gotten to the point where the more modes, the more off-road worthy it is. But let's face it, the vehicle should be capable and off-roady out of the box. It's obvious with hardware, which is more or less off-road worthy, because if you have recovery points, which this doesn't have, you know that if you get stuck, you have a way of pulling it out without tearing apart the front fascia. You know that if you have skid plates, you're not going to puncture the bottom and spill oil everywhere. You know that, if you have, a lift, you're more likely to go over taller rocks. That I get. But the modes, I'm sorry, I just think they're super confusing, and I don't think they're as helpful.
Honestly, I completely and 100% disagree with you with every fiber of my being. And with that being said, I think we've done just about enough.
All right, guys.
So what do you guys think? Let us know in the comments below.
And head on over to TFL Stuff if you want some of these cool t-shirts that our new intern designed. Thank you, Gavin.
Bye-bye.
Bye.